Saying good morning to our listeners, saying good morning to our viewers. Welcome. It's To The Point. It's Monday. It's the first day of September. I like to say it's one of the better months of the year for some reason.
Oh, were you born in September?
Yeah, so it's the best month of the year, right?
Okay.
That's the reason.
It's not arguable.
McIntyre.
It's not arguable.
Not arguable. No. It's the best month of the year. You could have whatever feelings you have, but for me,
absolutely. I respect you, sir. 100%. Good morning to you.
How are you doing, sir?
I am very good. Very well.
Nice to have you back. Last week, look, took a little day off.
No. It's another working day.
I thought you took a day off.
No, man. I didn't say to you, but last week I walked on the Sister Isles.
Oh, yes, you did. You did mention that.
I went to Carriacou last Monday.
So I extended the apology to the listeners, viewers, and so forth. Said,
they were happy with the apology, or they were not?
Well, they say no news is good news, right? Nobody said anything. They just flow as usual.
Right.
So I would say they accepted.
All right. Okay. Really good.
All right, man.
Really good. And I think there was this lady that I met who was so thankful to our program.
Yes, I did mention that.
I spoke to her.
That little bit of information you shared to give out. I did that also.
So people like that keep you going.
Yep.
When they give you support and when they say thank you. So we want to say good morning to everybody again. Our listeners, our followers, our viewers, and people have been making continuous contributions. They have been expressing their empathies and sympathies for things that happen, unfortunately, during road safety and the issues of accidents and all of that. Mm-hmm. And different way forward that they're suggesting that our program should go and what it means for Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit-Martinique. So,
well, we into the month of September, as I mentioned. It's the month of our school. It's the first day of school for the youngsters going back.
Yes.
I certainly hope the traffic situation was a bit of an ease for them going back this morning. Mm-hmm. I certainly hope that in certain areas, the congestion bill, especially in the south of the island where the road work and stuff is taking place, all the detours was not causing too much of problems.
No, I think they handled the detours very well in the south. Handled
very well. Okay.
I think that's good.
So that as it may, we just hoping for a smooth roll off. The first day is always the day when you get in, and then the second day you get settled.
Right, and like some people have been commented as though some people also forgot that immediately after Carnival you refocus immediately into school. Mm-hmm. And some people I saw somebody posted, I think it was my daughter posted that some people pre-ordered their stuff for Carnival and they forgot they need to pre-order stuff for school. Yeah. And so there's always this mad rush the last week and the last Saturday.
The last Saturday or the Friday before, because school be open on Monday. It's and even become a norm to a point. Well, it's not the best, but it's become the norm. Every thing happening.
I think I don't want to say Caribbean people. I think maybe the human, we're very in some last minute. Yeah. Regardless of what even you tell people about the hurricane season and preparedness, they don't do a lot until you tell them that a hurricane is actually coming.
You hear it's just a couple of the warning is out now, and the rush is.
They're gonna buy down everything in the supermarket.
Buy everything when you could have done it a week or two before.
Or you could buy it in small bits.
But they find the cash instantly. So for some reason,
That's right. We're hoping though that the children who are our future, that they are not disadvantaged because the planners or the parents fail to plan adequately and then send the children, rushing, going back to school. Because this morning I was speaking to a parent and she was saying that, there's one of her, I think the granddaughter is returning today or Wednesday from abroad, and the mother is not very happy that the child is unnecessarily losing a couple of days from school when arrangements should be made for the child to be back and to be ready mentally and otherwise for school. And that's something that parents
preparedness.
That's correct. Parents need to do that. Stay on top of the game and ensure that you process your children from one point to the other. There's absolutely nothing wrong if you're a carnival person, you're a seasonal person. You have to do that. But the other thing, the education is foremost and most important. So you have to walk them through this process, and the mental readiness is critical to all of that.
Especially now, that discipline also for the youngster themselves.
Yes, and I think the September month when you go into a new class or form or what do you call them, a grade? Yeah. That it is important to prepare adequately for those transition. And you have some children who are moving from primary into secondary. You have people in secondary who are moving up into form levels, those especially who are going into CQ, started the SBAs and all that. They're anxious to go in and continue that process. And so it's really... It has to be sort of a scientific and progressive to take children through this educational journey, so that you don't have them overly stressed and then they come down with mental challenges and depressions later on. If you prepare them properly, you can avoid a lot of that.
For some schools, the classwork begins on the first day.
Yeah.
Some schools,
some schools go after.
Some schools may be a bit lenient on the first day for some.
Yeah.
There are schools on the first day you return. It's like school is like normal already.
It's like nothing you lost.
Work and so forth. So imagine your son or daughter, maybe I just said someone may travel, and that 2 or 3 days off is like a setback for them.
Of course.
It's a bit of a setback.
Of course. So those things require always that kind of preparedness mode, and you look my empathies and so on for those who have quite a number of children, the 3, 4, 5 school children, preparing them to go to school.
Yeah.
For the first day of school in September, it's
a challenge.
Monumentous. It is monumentous, definitely. It's so getting all them used to the books now, the electronics, and all of those, and the uniforms that some of them they cherish. I know some of the ladies that their skirts, and those nice pleats and so. And some of them take a really good sense of pride in ensuring that they have that.
The neatness and stuff of it.
And the whitenings and so on for the convents and those people who wear the white, and then the black and those who want to do the nice little polish. It's really a nice feel when you're going to school and you're appropriately, elegantly clad, your mind is set, you have your books, and now the bags. Yeah. And we have to, and again, parents, you have to really prioritize as to how you treat your children and what you give them, and do not just unnecessarily go into what you call the style. Yeah. Everybody want to have a spray ground, or they want to have those kind of bags that are really, really expensive. And you wonder, could a child of a particular age really appreciate the expense of a particular bag?
Would it make them learn any better?
I like that. Would it make them really learn any better? So you want to figure, and a child is leaving school in the next couple of months, and you wonder, should I then invest in a new bag for $700 for them for just the couple of months because they're going to be doing CXC? Or should I just ensure that the one that they carry is just good enough to be able to carry the few books that they need to carry along, and make sure I focus on ensuring that the shoe, which is critical for them, that they have a proper shoe in their foot.
That can last them a couple of months.
Last them a good while. And so forth. And the other things, that they have a nice lunch kit or something like that.
With healthy meals.
Healthy meals.
Not just go and buy the process.
And they always have a good bus fare and something to buy, a nice little snack.
I like how you put that, a good bus fare. Because sometimes it may not always be good. It could be...
No, true.
You could lose some of the coins, or you don't have enough of the coins.
Yes,
so
I know those.
That's a nice way of putting it, a good bus fare.
Yeah. Good bus fare.
We speak of this, and as you mentioned in terms of the preparedness for parents getting their sons and daughters back to school. I remember back in my day, I was a bit of a neat freak.
Yes.
I used to like to be.
But I did not become a cop, a police. No. Police are the people who are neat freaks.
I used to always make sure my pants is nicely ironed.
Yeah, and you have a nice seam on it?
Yeah, the seam. My shoes is nicely polished.
You're polished.
Yeah, I used to like that.
You like that? Yeah.
I used to like to go to school.
No, man, that's nice. I liked it too. Yeah, man.
I understand.
Yeah, man.
I used to get that little bit of accommodation in class for that.
Nice.
The slick haircut and everything.
Yeah.
I got sent home once because the one time they have a haircut called the Gala Rush. Man.
Yeah.
I took one of them.
You already did the Gala Rush, right?
When I used to go here. and I got sent home for that. I can always remember that. The principal actually sent me home and said, well, you had to cut it off, or you wait until it grow back and come back to school.
Yes.
And that was back in the day.
Yeah, but back in the day was also good. And I think the conversation we're having is useful, because I was reflecting a couple of days ago and speaking of one of my old, and I even forgot that there were days when I had to go to school too, and my shoe was not quite appropriate.
Yeah.
And my bag and everything else, and I realized, but that didn't prevent me from learning. I always took in, and I had to walk to school for a good bit of distance. Sometimes I got to school and I was really sweating and showing it made me uncomfortable in school, but I just focused.
But it didn't deter you from learning.
No, it didn't. It really didn't. I really.
Could you imagine trying that on youngsters today, right?
No.
Telling them to walk to school for a couple of miles before they get there. That's not going to work.
Couple of miles.
I know children who don't want to go to school because they have to walk.
Yeah, and you look at those kids when they come up from the GBSS and the convent, and they stop in Tantin and wait for the ride to go up to the top of the hill.
Yeah.
And they would not try and take a little walk and so on. But
Time has changed. Time has changed. Yeah, time has changed. There are some parents who just not permit their sons or daughter to walk.
So, Judy, what about the review, man?
Yeah, we get into that now. We still have some time.
Okay, good.
Because we kind of drift off a little bit, but it was
no, that's a good drift because I think our conversation is helping a few parents, and I think we seem to be attracting more of an older audience. You know, my evaluation. So what we have to see now is that the parents and the grandparents will have to take the information down.
Yeah.
Because I recognize in my own evaluation of our program, a lot of younger people seem not to be getting those programs, except that the older people who sit and take it and then pass it down to them. They don't go back to that. So that's why some people even call us and say that our program is so good, but they don't think we're catching the right audience. But I don't think it's quite true. I think
we are. I talk to a lot of younger individuals who listen to the program.
They do, right? Okay.
They may not be the ones who are calling in because I guess they have to work or they do other things, but their radios are playing.
Yes.
Depending on their workplace or television.
Right.
It may not be, the volume may not be at the magnitude, but somehow they're getting the message.
Yes.
And there are lots who go and review the program sometimes.
Oh, they do. Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
You know, it's via the social media platforms. So they go review the program from time to time and get a drift. And sometimes they have, I saw you, Mr. McIntyre, talking about that. And I really applaud the decision you all make or the conversation you all were having. So I do get those feedbacks from time to time.
But we do have a captive audience in terms of the a particular age range.
Yes.
It's obvious because the younger generation people they have their own mode of information process that not necessarily the ones that sometimes they would feel so attracted to for them.
All right.
And even though GBN is on all of the platform, but the D programs to them, a lot of them don't look at news per se.
Yeah.
They don't look at news and those kind of. So let's now talk a little bit.
I want to try some flowers with you. I want the traffic department of Royal Glen and the police force.
Yes,
I want to give them I saw them this morning. It was the first attempt of it, and I thought it was really good. They had drone footage this morning.
They did
of the traffic.
Right.
So which means you had an exact view of seeing how the traffic was in real time.
They showed you on radio, television?
On television.
They did this
so
morning?
So it was real time.
That's good.
So they of course, the officer who was narrating was able to tell you, well, we at this particular area. That's what it's like in Tantine right now.
So who's seen that information? I hope it's just you guys at GBN and people at home.
No, it was actually on whoever is home.
Then they'll have to call somebody in the vehicle. Then they'll have to call somebody in the vehicle on the road.
If you're listening to it was narrated, not only the video aspect.
Right.
So it was narrated at the same time. I'm telling you, well, this is what the traffic is like in St. George's right now at this particular time. So if you need to divert because there's traffic a lot in that area.
Good.
So I think it's something of that nature to show that there's improvements from time to time. So we give the traffic department some credit.
Some flaws.
Some flaws for that.
And they are at critical points, those roundabout and areas that they know traditionally they would have those challenges.
Exactly.
And that's a plus.
I wish we could get an island-wide coverage sometime. It was focused a whole lot on St. George's for today, but I wish sometime we could see what it's like in Grenville and so forth. Which I think the technology is available to do it in real time. We saw Grand Dance, but it was only up to the Sylvan area.
Right.
As far as we were able to get a coverage of the.
So with the improvement of the police range of technology and the drones, I hope maybe eventually they might be able to position themselves strategically, maybe centrally, maybe like between Grand Etang, and they can get a drone that can give you that far coverage between St. George and the east and western sides of the island. I think centrally, because there are some drones that have really good range and so forth. So if you are able to be centrally factored, I think you can pull in much more, as you say, that make really good sense.
Make good sense.
To give people an appreciation.
So you're listening, or you at home getting ready to work, you could say, maybe I would try a detour because I'm looking at that. I'm going to leave in the next 5 minutes.
Yes.
And if I go to leave now and do this is the problem I may run into.
Yes.
So maybe I could detour. And sometimes those detour routes do get you where you want to go faster.
Absolutely.
You understand?
I think that is really great. So flowers to them. And from the flowers I want to give to is we had a wonderful, successful conclusion of the ECCB netball tournament.
Yes.
Governor Timothy Antoine was there making closing remarks last night. Hats off to the Grenadian team. They did not win the competition, but they won the Hats of Grenadians last night and the Caribbean.
I heard a lot of
that was tremendous. The words going around now that they saved their A game for last, and they said probably it's just a little bit too late. Unfortunately, they did not win, but they came second overall in the tournament, and they did have a few individual accolades that they achieved as well. So that's commendable to them. And the local organizing committee and the Netball Association chairperson, Mr. Libert Alexander, and his team. I think they did a fantastic job. And those who went out there and prepared the Tantine, the groundsmen, and everybody else, flowers to all of you guys. And netball could only get better for Grenada. And the support for it, we hope it goes. But one thing that came out very, very obvious is that we have to be more in tune to climate change and climate realities.
Yes.
And we need an indoor facility. We need indoor facilities in Grenada, and they're quite very possible. And I think
the Tantine is suitable for that.
And that can happen.
If
that could happen.
A proper thought is put into it,
yes,
could be covered and make it an indoor closed facility.
So when I looked at it, there was a gentleman and myself who were having some discussion. We were looking at just seeing how good and how pleasant things were, but how I mentioned how do we prioritize as a state as to what we should do, and we say that we have great cricketers, we have a wonderful stadium. Do we have the facilities, a performance enhancing center that help the bowlers and the batsmen in a closing area to improve on their skills? We have swimmers who've gone all the way to the Olympics. How do we have already a pool and able to medal? And do we have at the OECS and international levels, we have swimmers that represent us, but do we have a swimming pool that is of a particular length and standard that will prepare them for that? And is it all season? Could we have an indoor facility to cater for that? We have netballers who've championed the cause and they represent us adequately throughout the region. Some of them have gone internationally. We have the beach volleyballers and everything else. And quite a number of the footballers is an indoor kind of a thing. We have even the basketballers. But the point is, how much have we invested? It is not impossible to do that. We look at the Tantine area in essence. And if we do long-term planning, that Tantine entire field could have been raised a bit more at about 4 feet off the ground to alleviate some of the flooding problem that is seasonal basically, and you can cover an aspect, and you have indoor facilities there that could be well suited for the occasion.
I mean, we have of course athletes and users and players of these games been clamoring for this thing for a long time.
Yes,
it's not. I don't think it's a first time conversation. Folks of an official nature have also we always been clamoring for it, but somehow we just never get it done.
Right.
Sometimes what is given priority sometimes is minimal in my and there are other things could be given more priority, but we just never get it done.
Yes, and people have been boasting of a youthful administration now, youth-oriented focus, modern-oriented focus administration. We're hoping that could be part of also the new focus, prioritizing sports in a particular way and ensuring that the facilities are enhanced. I want to commend the effort of continuing to light up our playing fields across country.
Yes.
But we will hope that that aspect of sporting areas be expanded into being climate reality conscious, that we have to do things that our youth and our people can continue to shine through the sports.
So Mark, we drew for a break. We already threw it out to 20 minutes after the hour this morning. A bit of an extended opener this morning.
That's good.
But it was worth a while. Yeah. Let's take that break. When we come back, we certainly got much more for you. To our listeners and viewers, stay with us. We will be right back. Don't touch it out.
This Monday on Beyond the Headlines, we tackle Grenada's fight for reparations. Join host Colin Dow at 8:30 p.m. across all GBN platforms as we explore the legacy of slavery, historical injustices, and the push for reparatory justice. Our panel includes Ali Gill, chairman of the Grenada Reparations Commission, Rochelle Charles, who is representing the Rastafarian community, and historian Angus Martin. Don't miss this crucial conversation. Beyond the Headlines, Monday at 8:30 p.m.
Something powerful is coming to Glen customers. Smarter service, more convenience, a greener way to connect. Get ready for a better way to manage your electricity service. Coming soon. Grenlec, empowering you.
Are you ready to take charge of your money, build wealth, and protect your family's legacy? Then join us on October 9th, 2025 at Radisson Grenada Beach Resort for your Financial Future 2.0, Legacy, Literacy, and Liberation, a one-day financial summit designed to break cycles, build wealth, and leave a lasting legacy. You'll gain real-life budgeting hacks, a money mindset reboot, steps to create generational wealth, and practical tips on investing, estate planning, insurance, health, and business finance, all from expert speakers who know how to turn knowledge into action. With 2 inspirational keynotes, 3 powerful panel discussions and 6 breakout sessions, you will leave with your personalized action plan for success. Don't wait. Secure your seat today. Tickets are EC $350 at disruptiveleadershipconference.com/YFF. Your Financial Future 2.0. Your next chapter starts here.
Sunday, November the 9th from 5 p.m. at the Grenada Trade Center, Legends Promotion presents the 19th Annual Hubbard's Legends in Concert featuring the best of Grenada, along with 2 special guest artists. This edition promises to be extra special. Get ready, Grenada, to be blown with surprises at the 19th Annual Hubbard's Legends in Concert, Sunday, November the 9th. p.m. Grenada Trade Center. Stay tuned to GBN for more.
Coming up, all the major players were in town for Carib Festa 15, along with the top entertainers, artists, and more. The essence and beauty of African culture on full display at emancipation celebrations in Trinidad and Tobago. Important for centuries, still attracting attention today. Welcome to Havana. It's all next on this station.
Once again, welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers. It's to the point here on Classic Radio. We're moving down to 23 minutes after the 9 o'clock hour. Mr. McIntyre, welcome back. Mr. McIntyre, we want to get into this segment of conversation this morning. It's been in the news last week.
Yeah.
Kikem Chinny, some of the activities that have been taking place there.
Yeah.
Brought about some concerns for, not only residents of the Sister Isle and the mainland Grenada.
Yeah.
We had regional concerns also in relation to that. But the islands had some, so most of the other media organizations around the Caribbean speaking in relation to it. Tell us what's going on with Kikem Chinny.
Yeah, so what went on with Kikem Chinny is not a new activity, actually. And it's regretted that sometimes how the information flows around, that it generates a sense of panic.
Yeah.
And that's an indicator or an indication that not sufficient information about Kikem Chinny and how it functions and what's happening there is sufficiently available across region, and maybe we don't speak about it enough so that people could have a sense and appreciation as to what's happening. So Kikem Chinny has erupted about 14 times since it was discovered, I think in the early 1920s or 32 thereabout. Okay. And the Kikem Chinny is what you would refer to as being thermally active. So it means that it is erupting continuously. It is emitting gas, and it is releasing substance from it continuously. So it is referred to as being thermally active. It is boiling up. Okay. But what we've seen over the last couple of years is that there has been increased tremors associated with the activity at Kikem Chinny. Last year, around February, there were just over 3,000 tremors within a very short space of time that occurred. And as a matter of fact, the 800 plus that we experienced within the last week, I don't think any of them got to as strong as they were last year. So we had readings in 3 point something, and the average we had was 2 point something within that given period of time. I think, though, that there was and there should be no need for panic, but there should be need for concern in terms of our warning processes, the information sharing process, and the knowledge as to what's happening exactly at Kikem Chinny. So we have to revisit our monitoring process. The Seismic Research Center, St. Augustine, Trinidad, they are solely responsible for monitoring and releasing information about Kikem Chinny. So what my concern is, there is a monitoring observatory at Mali in St. Patrick.
Yes.
I drove through that area coincidentally a couple of days ago, and it's around it is overgrown with bush and everything else, so it doesn't really look like as an active place. There are monitoring instruments there. There are some instruments around the beach lines and around the rocks surrounding Kikem Chinny that monitors the activity it is registered at the Mali Center that's close to the McDonald College.
Yes.
That information is relayed to the St. Augustine University of the West Indies in Trinidad, and then Grenada gets the information as to what's happening there. Over the years, we have been existing on that process. We need to change it. We do have young, bright, intelligent minds in Grenada. Seismology is a very dynamic area. Why haven't we invested in having seismologists and volcanologists in Grenada study the 3 active volcanoes that we have and the monitoring system that exists so that there would be less panic when something happened? I spoke to some people a couple of days ago, and they were not even wanting to go to the beach. They didn't want to go around. And as you said, regional entities, as a matter of fact, there were 2 friends I had in Grenada. They were from way up Jamaica, and they had calls from their authority in Jamaica asking about their own safety in Grenada. Yeah. The regional people as well had their own concern as to whether or not that volcano is going to erupt and they're going to be in some sense of problem. But I want to reassure people that in this case, we should trust the process and the information process. And if you ask me, St. Vincent 2021 is a case in point where it shows that our regional monitoring systems are active and they're good. Yeah. Montserrat has a very active volcano system as well. They had some eruption a couple of years ago that caused they lost one of the cities after the volcano erupted. But they had a very effective monitoring system, and there were no loss of life record to be
early evacuation
occurred. Similar in St. Vincent, I was up there when the volcano started acting up in 2020 in December, and it went up in April. I went to St. Vincent at the end in the beginning of February 2021, and I stayed there, and the volcano erupted in April. I returned, I think, a month after the eruption and worked and helped with them through the process. But my point is, we have to move in Grenada to where we should have our own active, very active monitoring system. And so rather than having the information relayed to a third party second, basically, then come back to Grenada, we should move to the point, because Kickham Jenny is very active. Kickham Jenny, Kickham Jack, and St. Catherine, they are active live volcanoes. And so it is very time that we should have our up-to-date modern computer systems, seismograph and other instruments. We do have tide gauge and all these things, and we should be able to have persons here being able to read out these instruments and be able to inform the disaster agency real time as to what's happening.
In a more timely manner.
We're not saying that the information coming is not, but the reacting and reaction time could be less, because there's nobody here who's actually monitoring 24 hours. I'm not sure if that's happening at a particular time. How and when the people from Trinidad would get the information across. I know there was one time within the control system of the RGPF, there was a gentleman, and Wayne, hats off to you for the job that you did. He's now retired, Wayne Wilson. There was a computer system that was linked, and through the police control room, it could have been monitored. The reading could have been undertaken.
Okay.
I don't know if that system still exists, but there is an opportunity and there is a gap for us to revamp our early warning system, particularly for seismological information, specifically related to Kickham Jenny. And I want to say at this point, I am not the voice on Kickham Jenny. I'm not the expert on Kickham Jenny, but I do have reliable information, credible knowledge and background in terms of the activities at the volcano, and therefore can make recommendation that I know would benefit Grenada.
Preparedness for volcano activities.
Yeah.
How do we go about that? To a point?
The first process is information relative to our levels of vulnerability and where we exist, and whether or not we have hazard readings and our vulnerability assessment relative to what is likely to happen if we have different levels of interruptions or what do you call the volcano erupt at certain magnitudes.
Yeah.
The other process that linked to information is the understanding of the information. There's a full color coding system that exists. I don't think a lot of people understand it.
Yeah.
Somebody was speaking to me and they said, no, the volcano is at yellow. I said, it has been at yellow. It has never been on green.
Yeah.
And the reason why it has never been on green, because it is not dormant. and it is, as I mentioned before, it is active. So the yellow indicate that their activities,
there's always activities
that is always ongoing. If there are elevated activities, that gives indication that it's likely it can move to a state close to eruption. The next level goes to orange. So orange indicates that there are high elevated activities where possible it can move to a point of eruption. And when it gets to the final level, which is red, it means that it's explosive. An eruption is happening or is very imminent that it will happen. I don't think a lot of people understand the information. And so it seems as though when they understand the reading is on yellow, how people interpret that, they felt that Kikamjani has gone to a level that is of grave concern, and that really isn't the case. The activity we've seen there over the last couple of days is activities that seems to have been repeating itself. Now, people also tell you that deja vu, things repeat itself. It's like it's going to change one day, and something worse can happen. So if we are getting those pre and those eruptive indicators, it is giving us ample time to put our house in order. And one of the aspects of our house in order is the process of information sharing. And I think also it is very high time that we put some more obvious, very conspicuous markings and signs all over St. Patrick, basically, even where you can view the volcano. Because I packed up at Mali, just on that hill, and I was showing somebody exactly where Kikamjani was located. There are some rocks called the Sisters Rock. On the outside there is the Diamond Rock, there's the Isle Kai and Isle Arun. And people tend to believe as well that when you get to this point where the sea is very boisterous, that's Kikamjani, and that's really not the case. So the two rocks, the two diamond rocks are the sisters, and you can see them standing very prominent. And if you look, when you're facing from the McDonald College out to sea, there's a distance between the two rocks, and to the left of the outer rock, almost the same distance between the two, is underneath there is where Kikamjani is actually located, says the experts. And the depth is about 273 meters below sea level. So it's not very deep. So the top of the volcano itself is just under 300 meters below the sea. And that says that if we have a very explosive eruption, that we can have some very strong tidal action, we can have tsunami-related actions. We could have inundation of some of our coastlines. One of the better things for us is that Grenada have very high elevations close to our shores. But the islands of concern like Barbados, Trinidad, and those other places that have lower lying areas close to the shorelines, they are and will be of some concern, because very often when you have an eruption that generates a massive landslide that could result in a tsunami, the generation of it is sometimes more mild than the extent the outer ends. So the point where it generates sometimes do not pick up that amount of force. So as the land space where the volcano explode, as it pushes that volume of water, the islands may be closer to it, may not get that length of force, but as it moves over the ocean and pushes it, it generates with the volume, sometimes the speed and the amount of water. So islands further away sometimes are the ones that are going to receive more of the impact. And this is why I think there has been some regional concern about it. But I want to say again, we have experts, Professor Robinson, Dr. Robinson, Richie. We were at the St. Vincent together. I respect his expertise. And it was one of the times in the world that we got it almost 100% right. He was on the ball, monitoring the instruments in St. Vincent, and was able to say within X time a very high possibility that the volcano was going to erupt. Even if you're not going to be pinpoint, but you can have a good idea based on the readings that you're getting. And that's why the St. Vincent government were able to be advised. And I'm saying here in Grenada, we need to review the instruments that we have, and we need to trust our regional experts as well in what they do, and be able to give them the financial and equipment support that they need to execute those things that are mitigative and preventative measures.
All right. I want to ask you this, Mr. McIntyre. You know, you spoke about the coding especially.
Yes.
How important it is for individuals, especially citizens of the various islands, to always have that knowledge of the codings? You understand? The green, the yellow. This information, do you think it should be disseminated on a regular basis? Sometimes we think the authorities put a lot of less attention into volcanoes and stuff like that.
Yes.
We focus a lot on hurricanes and other storm structures that come around. They may be a bit more frequent. I understand for that.
Yeah.
But if this information are always present and in specific locations around the island, you talk about the Mali area and so forth, the view, billboards and stuff put up with those codings, so folks will always have an understanding.
Absolutely.
You understand? But when we say, well, we are yellow, what does that mean?
Yes.
In understandable fonts and so forth.
Yes.
So how you think that should be? You think that is a level of importance that the authorities could look into?
Yeah.
That the whole climate structure has changed a whole lot. We may be seeing more than it's been before.
I am happy that you asked for an expansion of that information, and I'm saying we should invest in some proper billboards that are that are weather resilient to a large extent, quality boards with those kind of information. Like people put up business information and other things across. We should invest in some, not only in St. Patrick, it should be around island.
Yes.
In the south of the island, when people come visit or other persons, central aspects, even up in Grand Tang in the national park with tourists, about your volcano, because you can even drive just south of Grand Tang, and you can view St. Catherine, the information relative to St. Catherine, and an expansion of that you can put in places where we have volcanoes on our islands, we have boiling springs and so on. Put those information up that people can read off from them. I'm absolutely confident that if we increase our information process, that there will be less panic across Grenada.
I agree.
And if we make that, institutionalize it more within our schools and so forth, a bit more. Put up charts in school about the Kikamjani volcano, about the St. Catherine's and so forth. I remember I refer to St. Vincent when we were doing our information relative to the volcano. All over the emergency operating center in some business and government offices, that information with the color coding was placed up.
Yeah.
The evacuation routes and what color represent what. They were very prominent. And you're right about the color coding across. We've gone to the green, the yellow, the orange, and the red. It is becoming a sort of a generic warning code across. So even we use that for hurricanes and all these now in terms of what kind of impact you expect it to have. Meteorologists and so forth, Met offices, they would give you those kind of color codings as well.
And it would be also helpful for the younger generations to understand these things also, because you sometimes you listen to the younger folks who have minimal interest for various reasons.
Yeah.
They may be here, but their focus is always elsewhere.
Yeah.
And so that information always been there and able to always look at it could make a whole lot of difference for them.
Yeah. And again, let me just speak about what people refer to as the Kikamjani area. I remember a year ago when that happened, we spoke about that very same thing on this program.
Yes.
And we spoke about an area of the bottom of the sea called the bathymetry, what they call bathymetric information that speaks to how the surface of the seabed is located, whether it is smooth, whether it is valley and rise and so forth. So we speak about topographic on land. We speak about that aspect of how it bathymetry, when we speak of how it acts on the sea level. And Kikamjani is not solely responsible for the tidal action and the waves in that area that is so rough. And people tend to believe that boisterous behavior that they experience at that area is because of the volcano, and that's not true. There is a very unique tidal action that takes place in that area. So there's like the Atlantic joining the Caribbean, coming around, it's like a curve, and they sort of meet, so it rolls over technically. And then because you have these mountains and these valleys at the bottom of the sea, as I said, that refers to bathymetry, it gives that kind of a continuous roughness in that area. Right. Albeit that when Kikamjani is more active, it emits that kind of a gas that decreases the buoyancy or the ability for vessels and so to stay afloat. So that is why there is an exclusion zone of 1.5 kilometers, like now, that vessels should stay away from that very area. And when it is very active, there's a 500 kilometers that people should stay away from the volcano when it is erupting. So 1.5 is in effect now. So that has not changed. So when I saw the information from NADMA that indicated that the 1.5, and that's a continuous information. That is the regular. So it is, if people understand the information process of the color coding, that it is yellow, nothing different has happened there that creates that need for all-out national response. They're saying that there's increased tremors. It means that there are activities that are occurring, but it is not overly active where it creates that level of risk to people. But it creates an awareness for the response and the management entity to stay on top of the game. Right. That's basically what it is.
Someone is asking a question. You didn't mention it briefly this morning, but someone is asking how many volcanoes in the northern part of Grenada? Somebody's asking now. We did mention it briefly already for the morning, but maybe just a quick repeat before the break.
Yes, but from the last survey, I think when Hurricane Ivan was in 2004, 2003, I remember there was a survey that was there, and Kekam Jenny was very prominent, and there was another volcano head that was identified by the U.S. survey that was there, and identified another one as Kekam Jack. And St. Catherine. So among St. Catherine, Kekam Jenny, Kekam Jack added 3 registered active volcanoes, but there are evidence across country because of the hot springs that we have throughout the island that we are volcanic based. And we are seismically active because we do have lots and lots of tremors. The hazard zones that have been identified registers the northern part of the island as most vulnerable, coming down the west coast, around towards the southern part of the island, the eastern part of the island from the surveys of hazards and so forth for volcanoes and so on. Mainly the eastern part has more of the greener areas that give an indication that you have more safe zones towards the eastern side of the island. But there's a hazard map that indicates those aspects as to how Grenada is exposed and the level of vulnerability to Grenada. So yes, we do have officially 3 active volcanoes.
So Mike, we do for a break. In this segment, we come back, we continue with the conversation. Stay with us, folks, at The Point Classic Radio. We'll be right back.
Need to check your bill balance? Use the Grenlec mobile app. Open the Grenlec mobile app and tap the icon labeled Balances at the bottom of the screen. View your bill details, including your current bill balance, the due date by which you must settle your bill, the amount and date of the last payment you made. It's quick, easy, and available 24/7. Convenience at your fingertips.
This Monday on Beyond the Headlines, we tackle Grenada's fight for reparations. Join host Colin Dow at 8:30 p.m. across all GBN platforms as we explore the legacy of slavery, historical injustices, and the push for reparatory justice. Our panel includes Ali Gill, chairman of the Grenada Reparations Commission, Rochelle Charles, who is representing the Rastafarian community, and historian Angus Martin. Don't miss this crucial conversation. Beyond the Headlines, Monday at 8:30 p.m.
Got something to share?
Call us at 440-1252.
WhatsApp 405-3052 or 407-8458.
Or email gbnnews@gbn.gd.
GBN News, first, accurate, voted #1.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers, once again to The Point, Classic Radio GBN TV, as we take you through this morning to our final segment of today's program. Of course, feel free if you do have a question or two that you may like to ask as we go through the segment. We certainly will entertain your calls also. Let's go back into road safety seems to be a pivotal concern.
Yes.
You know, the process of justice that comes along with it also,
yes,
when incidents do occur.
Yes.
You know, I know they had the issue. We may not want to get into full details about it in today's program, but we just touched it briefly this morning. You know, we had the issue with your son and so forth.
Yes.
We had the conclusion of the matter. Was it last week?
Yes.
So, anything you want to say on that before we?
Yeah, I can start from the bottom up, really and truly. That, in a nutshell, the justice system doesn't often seem to work in favor of the victims.
Yeah.
And that's a reality. And the end state of the case just came a couple of days ago. I have a copy of the judge ruling in terms of what I call it the assailant in that matter, what penalties were meshed out to him, and what levels of compensation for the surviving child of my son, etc. We've used the result of the case and the entire justice process to champion the cause for legal reform where road traffic and road safety is concerned. There's lots of loopholes in there. We think there are a lot of opportunities that we think we should be able to build on to ensure that the justice system speaks and shows some level of empathy for those who are the victims of the system and the victim of circumstance. I just want to reiterate and give my appreciation to the legal process, law enforcement, and everybody who helped to walk us through this process. We are going to be doing a bigger release as a family in terms of what transpired.
Yes.
In general, the processes of investigations has to be more thorough in Grenada. The information going to our prosecution department has to be revisited in terms of how things happen. The process of breathalyzer and microgram testing for persons driving under the level of alcohol, etc., within the system, that need to be to be revisited in general. We saw a lot of that could have informed a different outcome, in my opinion. And what we saw as a result of the case, it appears like a slap on the wrist: go and sin no more. And I, as an individual and our family, we were not expecting any special treatment because the law is of no respect of persons. And despite we were able to navigate through this, there are a lot of persons who may not have the kind of tenacity to be able to go through, and they may not have the avenue and the voice to be able to raise their concerns. And so we want to be able to represent them. And so this journey has revealed quite a number of things that we want to be able to expose to the public. And we would want our legal system to look at how we can reform some aspect of the law so that persons who violate, they can feel a sense of being punished for the violation, and the victims could feel a sense of justice given when something happened. And when we look at the investigative process, we believe that a lot more could be more thorough, so that the Director of Public Prosecution's Office, they could be more informed so that they make a better representation. And in some cases as well, the legal representation and defense aspect, or fraternity of lawyers and attorneys and so forth, we believe that sometimes their job becomes too easy because the process of the investigations are not forceful enough. And so we make their job a lot easier, and sometimes we make them look even better than they are because the system is that weak. And we have to understand that attorneys, they are employed for a particular function, and they are going to do it to the best of their ability because they have been paid for it. Yeah. And we have to understand that our police officers, and our prosecutors, and so forth, and they have to stand against persons who do this every day for their living. And so we must be able to adequately match up to what is there. And so we do have some recommendations as to how we believe that the system could be enhanced. Finally, the whole aspect of the psychosocial support. We believe that through this process, it taught us as well that when things happen, you're left in the woods alone to navigate. And even if there could be a system, sometimes it's not very obvious.
Yeah.
And while, yes, we are able to navigate this process, there are others who do not have the support system around them, like maybe we did, to be able to help us go through that. So I empathize with those who are being victim of road accidents and so forth. You have had no compensation, and you've not had the moral and psychological and psychosocial support to help you. And we believe that the system, I raised it before, should embrace people who are second victims of situation where people have tragic situation where they lost family members, good friends or otherwise, and they would need the support outside of the family setting. But we believe that the state should show some embracing as to how you carry these persons through. I know at least one witness in my son's case. She was so traumatized that she had 3 registered mild heart attacks, and she was traumatized to the point where she had to be seeking her own recovery process because she witnessed what happened. She explained what happened, but the way what she experienced was the opportunities of that was not given to be able to be expressed before the court, etc. Because there was like a plea bargaining situation where the assailant pleaded guilty to a lesser charge, and so there had not to have been a total hearing of the matter, except that the information had to be produced to the judge, and the judge had to make a decision and give a judgment based on the information provided by the Department of Public Prosecution, and then the defense attorney would also have given their position. So the judge, in her own judgment, had to sit and walk through the information provided in document form and to make a decision. If you have a trial, there's likely to be a different outcome because the expressions, the emotions, the questions, the back and forth, the what you call the examination, cross-examination, re-examination processes brings out particular information that the judicial system and adjudicators are able to deliver in some cases. I want to raise this because our conversation going forward, we want to look at the justice reform, the penal system, where road traffic accidents are concerned. We need to definitely revisit it, and the whole aspect of the physical infrastructure for safety on our roads for people. We must, and we are going to stand strong and advocate that we must enhance those facilities. We must create sidewalks, and we must, in the Morris Bishop Highway, have a passover that people's lives are not threatened on a day-to-day basis. And nationally accepted or not, the 6th of March every year will be recognized as National Road Safety Day from our foundation point of view. Right. I've had the confidence of other persons who are going to support us in this move. The 6th of March, the day in which my son was tragically killed, will be recognized as National Road Safety to ensure that on that day, and a couple of days leading up before the 6th, we are going to emphasize on information and campaigns and so on to create a greater awareness that the road and users of the road, they will feel a sense of greater safety. The foundation says, I'm safer. Asha McIntyre Safety Foundation for Road. We want people to be able to feel safer when using our roads in general. So we thought we needed to slide this in,
yes,
because this will form part of a greater conversation. If people
as go through the next couple of weeks,
wish to ask, so the general outcome of the case, the guy who killed my son, he will not go to prison. He's on just under 3 years of a suspended jail sentence, meaning that if he does not obey the conditions as set out by the High Court, he will go to jail for just under 3 years. The conditions are, he is committed to be paying $1,000 a year to the foundation for 18 years. He's banned for driving Grenada for 5 years, and he's to support the foundation in information and collaborate with us in terms of road safety information for that period of time as well. In addition to that, in the judge's judgment of human reaching out, she thought that a meaningful gift should be given to the child every year around the time of Father's Day. It is something that our family have revisited, and we do not think, despite we have accepted when she offered and said, will you all accept? In our judgment, we think that once the surviving child, any support could be given, we thought that was going to be relevant. In hindsight, when we look at it, we believe that it could create emotional remembrance if that action is allowed to continue directly. So while there should be that gesture, we believe that we do want to distance ourselves from that process.
Okay, understandably so. Hey folks, 435-2041, 435-2041, that's the number. We have a few more minutes left on the program. We of course accept your calls. Let's hear what you would like to contribute. Let's go to the phone line. Our first caller. Caller, you're live. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, sir. Caller, good morning. For some reason we are not hearing you. I'm not sure if it's from your side, but I don't think it's from our side. Let's hear from you again.
I said I want to make a few comments.
Caller, we are suddenly you're very, there's a noisy background. I'm not sure it's coming from us, so maybe something is wrong from your end. So let's try the WhatsApp. WhatsApp caller, good morning, you're live.
Yeah, morning, GT, morning, Mr. McIntyre, and morning to the listeners and the viewers.
Yes,
Good
sir.
morning to you, sir.
So, as I said before, I'm one of those people who lost a brother many years ago by a road accident, and nothing came out of that. In fact, the guy got away. That was 1971, and all he did was, at the time of my brother's death, he bought the coffin for the burial. That's all. Anyway, I wouldn't dwell on that because I think we could have deeper conversation around restorative justice and all of that relation to accident and so on. But we also need to think scientifically, to use Mr. McIntyre words, of how we do traffic, how we do vehicle importation and all of that. So that's for another time. My concern, Mr. McIntyre, is to do with the seismic situation. A few years ago, I heard one of the experts said that based on patterns, this region is due for a tsunami. And I don't think authorities in the region have done anything to prepare our people psychologically and otherwise for if that thing happens. And I think we shouldn't just wake up one morning and say, oh, the tsunami will come and blah, blah, blah. We should inculcate that in the educative process, whether in the schools, whether in the churches, whether it's on the radio. I mean, so that not frightening people, but letting people know that there is possibility of all of these, so we live with the awareness. And I think, Mr. McIntyre, I'm big on the Sendai framework. I remember ever since you started coming on this program, I've been raising that. I think if people understand the Sendai framework, it would help to influence policy and programs around the whole issue of disaster preparedness, disaster management, and so on. Thank you very much for your indulgence.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you always, as usual, for your contribution. That's really good.
All right, we do have another caller. Caller, you're live. Good morning. Welcome.
Morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
You and your guest, my brother, and Grenada. I just wanted to stray away from the conversation a bit because I haven't heard any mention today about something that is going on in Grenada right now, and it's annoying theft of people produce. Now, Friday night gone, I have a neighbor, her sub tree was loaded with the intention Saturday to pick and go and sell on Sunday wherever in Cali they buy. And another neighbor have at least 40 sub tree about 200-300 feet from where I'm standing now. And these guys and them within the wee hours of the morning or whatever time they went and pick up all the people produce. I don't understand. I wish they could have a system set up that the people who go in to sell these things, there are police involved to want for a better word, make sure these are legit farmers, find out exactly where they got the produce from. Because nowadays you're seeing needle in bananas and melon and all kind of things. Farmers putting things in their produce too. Well, I don't know who some innocent people is going to be fall victim to these kind of things. Innocent people. Why?
We understand your concern and we appreciate it, but we don't want to stray too much this morning. But we thank you so much for your contribution this morning. So McIntyre, we already gotten to that stage in the morning. Yeah. Already 2.5 minutes after 10 o'clock, and we have to take a wrap.
Right. So two of the things mentioned. One, there are some initiatives in terms of tsunami readiness for the Caribbean. Their project Grenada is part of it. So it's not all gloom and doom. There are some things in train, not enough, but we believe we could do more throughout the region. And in terms of the last caller, there is a pretty Alasni task force that are there. Yeah. They might be limited, but they have been enhanced. So in some cases, they might be on the game, but not everything they might be able to prevent. But there are structures in place. But a lot that requires every Grenadian, you are a law abider and you're a law enforcement person. If you see something that looks not just the avenue on radio or television, but try to get it to the entities, whether it's clandestine or otherwise, so that those perpetrators could be trapped in their track.
All right. Mr. McIntyre, I want to thank you once again for being on today's program. Always a pleasure having you on the program, sir.
Yes, man.
Of course, the last step of the relation to your son is something that we will have to diverge more into.
Yes,
as you mentioned. So previous, subsequent programs to come, we will be going more in depth in terms of ways that we could help individuals who may have gone through the same process as you and your family have gone through also.
Yes.
And, just a way of letting them understand that there's help there for them, that they can get it, especially from your foundation that you have put together. Yes. And I certainly hope that makes a whole lot of difference to individuals.
So now that the case has concluded, the way forward for us to be building that foundation more strongly so that our road safety systems and programming could really be enhanced.
Yes. And of course, once it gets to an enhanced level, we should see folks being able to want to do do better in terms of their driving experience and so forth.
Yes.
All right. So McIntyre, once again, thank you, sir.
My pleasure.
And it's always a pleasure to have you.
Yes, always.
Grenada, that's where we're going to take a wrap for today's edition of To The Point. We want to thank our listeners and our viewers. Thank you so much for being with us today. Join me again tomorrow, once the Almighty permits, for another edition of To The Point. That's where we say goodbye.